Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value, and I'm going to go over gold and silver today. It did get the hammer. It got hammered lower, and then we put in the hammer pattern. What a hammer pattern is it's a large pattern with a big wick at the bottom. It means the sellers came in, they tried to drive it lower, as low as they could, and then the buyers came in and reversed it higher, which gives you a hammer pattern. It's a body of a candlestick at the top with a big wick at the bottom. And I'll show you what that looks like in the charts that I have here today. It is a reversal pattern, but it doesn't mean that it's just going to go straight higher right after it. It may take some time. It may move sideways a couple days before moving higher. It could go higher right after. But I think what's happening is we're getting close to a bottom. And at bottoms, what the market tries to do is flush everyone out. It flushes the weak hands out. And if you've been on the channel for a while, and this is the reason why I try to do long-term holds and use market conditions as my guide and ratios, that kind of gives you that guide to say, yeah, we're cheap, we've got good market conditions, we should be buying the dips, and that's my opinion. And what they try to do is they try to flush people out. The market, that is. Banks, whomever's buying this stuff. They flush out all the weak hands. They basically clean up all the shares that the weak hands have, and they buy all their shares and load their portfolios with it before a move higher. So you see these kind of flush outs. Is this a flush out? Good question. It very well could be, but no one exactly knows. So if I were to see strength coming up here, that would give me confidence that we are going to move higher and that it was a flush out. If we see sideways movements to lower, which I don't think we will, but let's wait and find out. And remember, I buy into strength. I want to see buyers step in. Buyers did step in today to create that hammer pattern. That's why it has a wick at the bottom so big. So now I want to see like basically confirmation of it. And we are still in some of these, some of them are still kind of, they've broken patterns to the upside. I'm going to show you what that looks like right here. But I'm slow to move. That's my new trait. Slow to move. Scribe out the pattern. See the buyers come back in. You may not get the best prices ever, but you get a little bit of insurance and a little bit of, we'll call it psychological well-being, riding and buying into strength and seeing it appreciate right after you buy it, instead of, quote, trying to catch the falling knife where you get cut. So here, I'm going to jump in here, do a gold and silver presentation on technical analysis. And again, this is just my financial opinion on what's going on. So I'm trying to do this to show you guys correlations, these daily chart comparisons. The dollar up, and throughout the day, you can see the dollar strengthen, gold weakened. Someone obviously came in here and really pummeled this thing right here. I know there's a lot of people who talk about manipulation being the big banks. The big banks, what they do is they dump a bunch of paper contracts onto the market to scare people, which then people get scared and they sell out of their physical holdings, contracts, and or mining companies. And then you can see that the gold recovered throughout the day, and we ended not too bad in comparison to where we were right before 8 p.m. last night. Here it's the exact opposite. Obviously, as the dollar strengthened, you could see a little bit more weakness in gold. So that's the movement. This is an inverse of this guy here to show you that correlation. The 10-year did go higher today. It's probably going to reach kind of right up here before hitting some overhead resistance. I think that we are going to see higher interest rates. Gold is going to look at this mixed because we have to change the paradigm of market participants to believe that we're going to have inflation for a while and that it's not just transitory. We've got this downward trend line here that I didn't draw in, but we're coming up on it, and people are going to view this as rates going higher, a flat inflation rate, which we don't have. I'm just going to tell you what their paradigm and what their viewpoint is. They think flat interest rates, and then gold's going to trade off of whatever interest rates do flat inflation rate. Sorry, flat inflation rate, and gold's just going to trade off the interest rate. It trades off of real interest rates, not just interest rates. So if inflation is outpacing interest rates, which it is, I am proposing that the market is looking at this incorrectly and that gold will eventually revalue itself because of the market conditions and because inflation is going to stay and it's greater than what most people think, and we have a real negative rate, which means people are going to sell their bonds and then interest rates will eventually go higher. Here's the long-term view on gold. We're still over in this area trying to make our way higher here. Zooming in on this section on the right-hand side, this is what it looks like. And it's important to look at this right-hand side here. This is called a hammer pattern. This is what this big wick is at the bottom. And it's coming down. We came in and then we got bought back up. The momentum's to the upside right now. It's not to the downside. The momentum shifted today throughout the day as the buyers came in, bought it, and pushed it back higher. And what this is it's called catching a falling knife. But if you waited and bought at the end of the day, you didn't really catch a falling knife. What you're doing is you're buying into strength. Now, I'd like to see the strength continue before I'm going to really start, buying with what money I have left. Because I'm already in positions that I'm holding on. And I've just been holding on. But this looks positive. It doesn't look negative. And it looks like this pattern, whatever this pattern is, completed. And we touched the 1680 and we had good support down there. So this could come back higher here at any time. Silver, again, we're in this pattern. We broke this trend, sideways movement trend line that we had. We had downward momentum, sideways movement, and then we're coming back up. We've got an uptrend line here. We've got this pattern that we've developed. We're kind of playing with the bottom line here. Our downside's 2250. If we were going to come down here, we do have more support down here. Zooming in on the right-hand side, looks like 2250 is what we tagged. We tagged this line right in here. It was real close to this upward trend line. And then we shot back higher to 2327. So we are kind of down here. So we kind of scared everyone out. We hit a whole bunch of stop losses that everybody had under this pattern, most likely. And it flushed everyone out. This moved it. Now let's see if we can sustain this hammer pattern here and move on up, and that this was a true flush out of people. Platinum, you can see we came on down here. We still have support on this downtrend line. We're basically back testing. We're basically doing a full back test. And everyone knows what we do on the back test on this channel. We buy the back test or retest, however you want to say it. But we're retesting this downtrend line. We broke out. We came back. I didn't think it'd come all the way back here, to be honest. But I think we've got good support at 925. Is it going to go that low? Maybe not. But looking at it today, it did get down to 950 something, 960, somewhere in that range. Let's see if we can launch higher here. I do think this is at the end of a consolidation pattern. I think we're real close. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what it brings us. But we do have buyer here. Looks like we did one of those hammer patterns back here, touched 950. So we could be getting real close here to a bottom. GDX, nice little, we'll call this a bearish piercing pattern that shot us lower. We didn't get killed here, which is good, which means that the mining sector isn't necessarily believing this sell-off. And I think people were kind of loading in. So they used the metals to sell it off, and I think people are accumulating GDX, GDXJ. Here's GDX on a long term. I think we got support right underneath here, even if we do go a little bit lower. So I think we've got some good support, and I think it bounced, where was it, 3250. Yeah, we were getting close to this line here. Here's GDXJ. This thing looks horrible on the short term as this thing was diving lower when I did this. Looking at the bigger picture, we do have support right underneath it. I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think. So hopefully we come in, touch it, do a touch and go. Hopefully it moves higher and the buyers step in. SILJ. Here's the pattern. We had this false breakout. This is where a whole bunch of people, they all dove in here and sold it off contract-wise. You can call it manipulation. Maybe it is manipulation, maybe it isn't. But we're right back in the pattern. We got some support right below it. So let's see if the support holds. In Franco-Nevada, apparently that it doesn't believe the sell-off at all. 0.99% down. We're back testing this. I think people are accumulating this. So right here is not a bad spot to be buying. I'm looking at FNV, bullish engulfing, popped higher, retest, and I like buying the retest. Wheat and precious metals moving on sideways here. We're at the 200-day. I just look at these two royalty companies to gauge what's going on with the royalties. Anglo American Platinum, this thing looks fantastic to move higher. This one I would be buying because we're throwing a bullish engulfing signal and we broke the downtrend already. Broken downtrend, pulled back, bullish engulfing, probably going to head higher soon. PLG also has a lot of good going for it. It's up 2% on a down day. That is strength. So PLG here looks very strong. Looking at it from a bigger picture view, we're right at support. I look at reverse symmetry. Reverse symmetry is when you cut something in half, and the way it fell is probably the way it's going to go up. It's not going to mirror it perfectly, but very similarly. This thing fell, pulled up, and pulled back. We came up, we pulled back to this bottom portion, and it's basically reverse symmetry, and I think we could see a move higher here in PLG, and we're getting the 50-day to cross the 200-day. Again, this is a developer company. It does carry high risk. It is very volatile. And if you guys can stomach the volatility and you want to try catching a pretty good bottom here, I think this is a one. If you like platinum, it is palladium too. A lot of palladium its project is going. It's a project company. It's a developer. But we could see this thing move higher here, and with the strength that it's showing, and with the wick at the bottom here, the sideways movement, the up day on a down day of platinum, with the bullish engulfing or bullish hammer patterns that are being thrown on gold and silver, doesn't look too bad. If we see more strength here, I kind of like PLG. Now, looking at some of these that are showing weakness, EXK looks like it's going down from this rising or ascending wedge pattern, broke to the downside. I think we're going to have to consolidate before moving higher. So I do think a consolidation period could potentially come for everything. Silver, gold, EXK, possibly for a little bit before moving higher. Same with AG, it's the same pattern. Ascending wedge broken to the downside here. And then Newmont, I don't see anything too bad with Newmont. It's just kind of hanging out. I just wanted to look at Newmont because it's a large company, one of the larger producers. So that's what I have for today. I kind of wanted to share what I'm seeing. We do have those hammer patterns. They're usually signaling that momentum is changing. So let's see if the buyers step in here and buy it tomorrow and the rest of this week. I want to see what happens. In past times, I've always been too quick to get into things. I'm being more delayed, more patient, and seeing what happens. Usually you'll get these hammer patterns, and sometimes they kind of roll over. They do like one of these rollover, and they go sideways and chop for a little bit. Sometimes they rocket higher. But again, the short term, it's volatile. It's difficult to read. But the buyers are down there. They did reverse it. So we saw it. Now we just got to see if it's sustaining. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.